So ARPA, I mentioned your name ARPA, right? And does anybody know what the Arpanet is? Anybody know what the Arpanet is? No? All right. It says, what is the Arpanet right here? I just looked it up. I'm not sure what source to use. Let's go back here and look at some of these pictures. I just put, what is the Arpanet? I don't know if this is Google. I don't know. I want to go to Google's. Let's go to Google search. I think it's better. Then more people use Google. So let's go to Google.
You're listening to the UnCommonCore Podcast with your host Thomas Howell.
Hello. This is the Pug Dog Studio, and here in my lap is the Pug Dog, Q Dog. You can hear him moaning because it's hot, and I turn the air conditioner off so that it wouldn't make too much noise for this recording. But he snores and he makes a lot of noise himself. Anyway, episode 1 was a bit of a learning experience in a lot of ways, but it was the first and the only recording from 2013. I have a lot of iPhone recordings from 2014, and I have one from 2015, which I used a recorder, so the sound quality is better. I also have one in 2016. And then the school closed down, so that's it. But this one here I decided to use because it was last year. This is June 2016. It was last year in 2015, right around the time of the first Republican debate, and we talked about that. I did let the students read through the articles, and I decided not to edit out. And so you can let me know what you think about that, whether you want the stuff edited more or you want to just hear it run right through. I am also running a Fund Anything campaign, so you can find that on the website. And the website is UnCommonCorePodcast.com. Now, there's an easier way you could get to it. Just do UCCPodcast.com. That's UCCPodcast.com. Just the letters UCC, Uniform Charlie, the word podcast.com. On there you can contact me. You could subscribe. You could also subscribe on Stitcher and on iTunes and a couple other ones out there. So the Google Play as well. Let's see. Q Dog's getting a little upset. He wants the air conditioner back on. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here and enjoy episode 3. If you want to just hear Donald Trump, it's about the last 20 minutes or so you could just fast forward it down there. So from Pug Dog Studio, this is Tom Howell, and that is Q Dog. Okay, enjoy. Well, that was last night, and I just wanted to get on before I publish the podcast and say that I sound a little raspy because I did just get out of surgery, and so I'm a little weak. But if you can, follow us on UnCommonCore Podcast on Facebook and UCC Podcast on Twitter. Okay, enjoy the episode.
All right, well, here's a bunch of pictures of, I guess, what was the early ARPANET. The beginning of the internet in the late 60s, 69 or something like that, I think it was. What was going on in the 60s in the United States and in the whole world? It was the Cold War, right? You guys aware of the Cold War? What was the Cold War?
Between Russia and United States.
Right, it was between Russia and the United States, right. And what was the big worry about in the Cold War?
Because the two can fight.
And what? Nuclear. Yeah, there was nuclear weapons on both sides. So and nowadays they're talking about like Iran having nuclear weapons. Well, the United States and Russia had hundreds of nuclear weapons on both sides. It's not thousands. Maybe it's thousands. We can look it up if you want. But, so what would happen if they got a nuclear war and the first strike would be if they had one bomb, a nuclear bomb. It didn't even actually have to be a nuclear bomb, but would knock out command and control like that, and then basically the war would end quickly, except for the fact that everybody would die from fallout and all that stuff. But so what the U.S. Army did was they created something called the Arpanet, and what the Arpanet did was they would have duplicate information on multiple computers at the same time, so that if headquarters in Washington D.C. or actually at the Pentagon was knocked out, they had the same information somewhere else. So they couldn't hit everywhere. They wouldn't know everywhere to hit. So that was the concept behind it. And that's what you see here with these pictures about the Arpanet. And we could look at some videos if but there's some pretty good things on here's this thing called the history of the internet. Yeah, maybe we'll look at this one. There's a lot of different things you could look up on here. But basically that was the beginning of the internet, because it connected these different computers together, you know what I mean? And what was the next big step? So the basic internet structure was created by the U.S. military. Now, the convenient way of transferring information back and forth through HTTP was what they called, part was given credit for the World Wide Web, goes to Tim Berners-Lee in England, using one of Steve Jobs' next computers. So anyway, that's basically the thing. Let's see what they say here on, no, it probably doesn't work. Gives us a blank page. Let me go back and see if I can find a better video. Yeah, let's try this one. And the internet was born, the creation of the Arpanet. Let's see what this one says. It might be fun to have it doesn't. Says we need to substitute for the book. What?
We have the ability to share information from computer to computer in order to speed up research, aid in communication, and allow for social networking, benefiting all of society. This was not always so. In 1969, a turning point in the fields of both computer science and communication was achieved when the Advanced Research Projects Agency, ARPA, a branch of the American military, created the Arpanet, a secure and fast working computer networking system to span large distances ranging from MIT in Massachusetts to UCLA in California. It used rented phone lines for conveying military intelligence. It also minimized the amount of computations for one computer to do by spreading the work over multiple stations. Without the introduction of the Arpanet, we would not have the internet or the web, and society would be a very different place.
Okay, well that picks it up from what I said. So the military created it because of the Cold War, and then they used it to secure and to work more quickly with information. We could watch a couple more minutes. You guys recognize the music that they're using in this little slide? This is some kid made this on, I don't know, for high school or probably kindergarten or something. But what's that music?
The Sputnik 1 satellite, the first object sent into orbit by humans, launched by the Soviet Union in 1957 during the height of the Cold War, created a turning point for the world. As a result, the American government, led by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, realized that the United States of America needed a branch of the military devoted specifically to developing new technologies for the protection of the United States. The Advanced Research Projects Agency, or ARPA, was born. One focus of ARPA was computers. Though used by the government for basic computations as early as 1939, by the 1960s, computers were still not able to communicate between each other, but as the years passed, they became more advanced. In 1961, scientist and engineer Leonard Kleinrock, a professor in the computer science department at UCLA, published a paper on his idea of packets, smaller fixed-length pieces of information. These pieces could be sent down different paths at different times, allowing larger pieces of information, such as documents and software, to be shared efficiently and safely, where it had not been done before.
All right, boring. All right, so you guys want any more information? That's basically, I wanted you to know if you took a computer class, they would give you like these little pieces of information, about back in the old days. I mean, if you took a computer class, whatever, many years ago, they would you would always have to know about the history of the internet. Nowadays, I don't think they do that.
I never knew that before.
Yeah, they don't. You would have to sit in an entire, a semester worth of boring stuff. But that was one of the things that you would need to know, was that about the Arpanet and Tim Berners-Lee.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's all you need to know. You should probably know that. Now, if you really want to know a lot of stuff, and we could look at this later if you want, there's something called, I think it's called Triumph of the Nerds. There's a lot of these Something of the Nerds programs, but my favorite one about the internet and computers is called Triumph of the Nerds. And this will tell you, this goes back and gives you what you would learn in a class. You know what I mean? And it's a little 2-hour movie. And it's pretty good. It's entertaining. There's another one, if you want to know about Apple and Microsoft, called Pirates of the Silicon Valley. Those two, if you watch those two, you have a good understanding of, how it all started. And this is coming from someone who lived in the Silicon Valley, kind of during that time, sort of. I mean, I don't go back to this time, but during the internet boom. So, by the way, I asked you. So, any questions? No questions. Yeah. See, I know people gets boring after a while, but who played that music? That's one of probably the most famous jazz pieces of all time. Anybody like jazz? I mean, nowadays jazz counts for fusion and all kinds of weird stuff, but this was like the old original jazz, and this guy his name was Dave Brubeck. I believe it's Dave Brubeck, Take 5. Let's see if I'm right. Here, let's play this old video. The reason I mention this too is because I think he's pretty cool. This guy. So here. What? Yeah, okay, here we go. Here's an old Dave Brubeck playing that same tune back in the day. So that's anybody like that old jazz stuff? I mean, it's kind of hard to hate it, but people don't always enjoy listening to it that much, especially when you get into the weird stuff. Some of the real. This stuff is pretty listenable for most people, but yeah. A good version is Coltrane kind of is good too, but I mean people start moving away from it and can't really get it. If you want to listen to Take 5 and this kind of thing, Jazz at the Pawn Shop's a really good album for audio quality. All right. Any comments or questions? So that's ARPA. Your name is ARPA, and that's the ARPANET. Let's go and look at the news. Oops. Shoot. Did I just ruin it? Let's look at the news. The Batman died. Okay, go ahead. You're Batman. How many people are Batman fans? No? I mean, I'm not talking about... Yeah, I'm not talking about Frank Gifford either, but yeah, he also passed away. This is unfortunate. But anyway, Batman dies in a car wreck. Go read that one.
A Maryland man famous for an online video where he was stopped by a police while wearing a Batman costume died after his customized Batmobile broke down along State Highway, police said yesterday. The man, 51-year-old Leonard Robinson, began wearing the suit for visits to children's hospitals, where he handed out knickknacks bearing the logo of the comic book hero. Maryland State Police said he was killed late Sunday night after his customized Lamborghini broke down on an interstate highway and was partially stopped in the passing lane. Robinson, who was not wearing his costume at that time, got out of the car and was checking the engine when another vehicle crashed into him, according to authorities. The driver of the other car, a 39-year-old man, was not injured during the crash and no charges were filed, police said. The spokeswoman for the state police said an investigation into the crash will take about 30 days. Robinson was pulled over in 2012 and became an internet sensation after video of the incident went viral.
Right, okay, here's that video.
Southbound 29 at Prelude, and again, no tags. It's just got the Batman seal on the vehicle. It's a black Lamborghini and a driver dressed as Batman. You can send me Robin if you wish. So the kids like these? Yeah. Okay, Batman. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Good.
You got a nice car there, Batman. What's your name rather than Batman?
Lenny.
Lenny. Okay. You have a front tag on the vehicle or no? Or just the okay. Okay, you can get the registration, man.
Okay.
Lenny, do you mind if I take a picture, brother?
Not at all.
Batman. Da 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 da.
All right.
Hold on, I gotta get. Well, you take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Take care of those kids down there, okay?
Doing a good thing. It's just like I said, two quick
Yeah, hold on to that registration because I don't know if this is your first time being pulled over, but that's what just attracted me. It wasn't necessarily your outfit.
No. I haven't been pulled over before, but I had a flat tire on Halloween, and it was on 29 in Howard County. I was on my way to Washington National Hospital, and my tire blew out, and there's no spare for it. Yeah. And it's blown out. There's nothing I can do. So Howard County cut me out, but the next thing you know, it's all on Facebook and YouTube and even TC News. If you go to, you type in on the computer, police help Batman, Halloween on YouTube.
Evidently. So you can see it's a convertible, and the back of the car, the engine is not in the front. The engine's in the back here, kind of mid. Anyway, it's back here to get to it, or maybe you go behind the seat. I don't know, but it's not in the front of the car. So the guy pulled out in the passing lane. He should have known better. I mean, you would think Batman would know, right? I mean, that's he got killed. Somebody was going from probably the main lane into the passing lane. They didn't see him there, or they didn't notice the fact that he was stopped. They thought it was, because sometimes when driving it's hard to tell if they're stopped or moving, and just smashed right into the back of him. But he died in the car that he loved, so doing the thing that he liked to do, I guess. So okay, so that's the thing, and there's the Lamborghini. An expensive car. I guess he owns a business. Yeah. Don't they have a new Batman movie? Another one? Or am I imagining it?
Batman versus Superman.
Sounds dumb. Batman versus Superman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why would Batman fight Superman? Because one of them got possessed by some evil... Huh? What?
Love triangle.
But they're both in love with the newspaper girl?
With Wonder Woman.
Superman doesn't like Wonder Woman types. He likes the nerdy types, huh? He what?
Superman and Wonder Woman in the comics. Like,
Oh, but I thought so he's playing the field then, Superman is, huh? Thought he liked that reporter girl. Yeah. Anyway, talking about superheroes and comic book characters, let's read about the Donald. I mean, he's got his own comic book look, right? That hair and that tie. He looks like a comic book character. They don't have to do anything to him. I don't know. It's in the Metro and the AM both. Let's look at the AM because the picture of him is better. He should just play a president in the movies instead of going out for real. Who wants to read? No, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll read a little bit about the Donald and we'll look at what's going on in Voice. Anybody from Indonesia here? Oh, because there's an Indonesia airplane crash again. Yeah, but I guess they have those goofy airplanes, the old, and they're going through the jungle. And I don't know. Anyway, okay, go ahead and read the Donald here on page 3. Go ahead, Walter.
Donald gets his day in court. The frontrunner serves jury duty in Manhattan. Donald Trump took a break from campaigning yesterday to perform a civic service, reporting for jury duty at Manhattan State Supreme Court and sitting patiently among other prospective jurors until he was dismissed at the end of the day. Anyway, the Republican presidential candidate won't have to serve again for 6 years.
Oh.
People are very surprised that I agreed to do this, Trump told reporters in Hart House. I'm not surprised. I think it's the right thing to do. Trump arrived in a black limousine 8 minutes late for the 9 a.m. start time and sat in central jury room, staring into space, chatting jovially with people around him, reading a newspaper story about himself and even appearing to doze off at one point until he and more than 350 others were dismissed at 4 p.m. Trump said he had spent his 2-hour lunch break checking in on his 40 Wall Street property. August is a slow month for court cases. Supervising jury clerk Arin Lacuenta
That sounds good.
said of the lack of need for jurors. The billionaire businessman kept a straight face as Lacuenta told those in the juror pool that they will receive $40 a day in pay and use the vending machines if they need a snack. Trump seemed to be in campaign mode as he worked through the crowd of fans and photographers packing the courthouse steps. He posed for selfies and autographed dollars, bills, books, and posters. The former reality TV star joined a line of celebrities who have reported for jury duty, including O'Donnell, Woody Allen, and Spike Lee yesterday. Saturday Night Live actor Bobby Moynihan was also in the court for jury duty. Trump boasted to reporters sitting around him that the media crowd marking his presence is larger than for other big names serving jury duty. It's the biggest they've seen ever, he said. I love records. He also bragged that he has gained 500,000 new Twitter followers in the past few weeks. Trump said a few tweets during jury duty about his newly announced immigration plan and his standing in the public polls. A Fox News poll yesterday showed him with 25% support, more than double the backing for runner-up Ben Carson. Some protesters heckled Trump outside court over his immigration proposal to deport the children of those in the U.S. illegally. Trump was accompanied in court only by a personal bodyguard and New York State Court Officers Association President John Sprague. A special response team of court officers deployed only for high-profile cases. Sprague said how God walked. Frances Schumann, 60 of Greenwich Village, a teacher who also served duty yesterday, said she supports his Democratic rival Hillary Clinton, but was pleasantly surprised to see Trump. It was like sitting in detention and he didn't expect any special treatment, she said. He was more likable than I thought he'd be.
Right, okay. Well, what do you guys think about that and the Trump still being at high percentage points in the Republican Party? What do you think?
For me, it's like because it's like a movie.
Yeah, it's like a TV show, right? Or a movie, yeah. Huh?
He's a popularity thing. He's the most popular among them. He's very vocal. And then the fact that the media gives him a lot of coverage.
The most funniest thing he told is building a wall with the Mexico money.
Right. But what did you say? What's the last thing you said? I didn't catch that. What did you say?
He's getting a lot of media coverage for free. That's why he's very.
Oh, he's getting a lot of. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not his fault. I mean, the media follows him around because of the things he says. What did you say, Lakshmi?
He says building a stupid thing. One stupid thing he told is building a wall with Mexico's money.
Yeah.
He was supposed to build a wall.
Yeah, he said that he's going to take it off of out of visa payments and cross-border payments and stuff like that. So he'd take it from Mexican people who, I guess CEOs or I don't know, but he's taking it off of charges that are already existing by raising them. I don't know how he would raise the money for Mexicans to or and for
one of the
higher than everybody else.
How can they afford to build a wall around USA?
Yeah. I don't know how if there's charges though for foreigners. I think the charges are fixed, right? When you pay visa fees and everything, I think that's fixed.
It's staggering money. U.S. government is getting from the visa fees. You know that?
I know, but I'm saying the money is
not
the same.
Not the visa fees. The immigration itself costs so much.
I know.
And it's from China and India. It's getting billions of dollars. Billions.
Right, but I mean, it's the same for you as it is for him, as it is for Walter. The fees are fixed, so I don't know how he would charge more for Mexicans. I don't know how they would work that out.
Really speaking, Mexicans are not coming. Really speaking, other South American countries like Ecuador, El Salvador, they are coming through Mexico.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I don't know if he's worried about them. He's worried about the Mexicans mostly. Yeah.
And people supporting him. That's the real thing.
Well, he wanted to get rid of the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement between Mexico, the United States, and Canada. But I mean, I don't know about this, but he's. I mean, we import. You know what? What is a free trade agreement? First off, you guys know what a free trade is? We hear free trade a lot.
Free trade.
Yeah, free trade.
Free trade means like. Mexico, they can export product without any charge or anything like
tariffs, right?
Yeah,
Taxes, tariffs.
They can export the product in United States or Canada, and something like United States can export their product to Mexico or Canada without tax.
That's right.
Something
right.
About
exactly.
Canada.
So, what is apart from tequila and Kahlua? What is does Mexico import anything important? And what is the U.S. export that's important to Mexico?
Weapons.
Okay, well I don't know about that. Maybe.
Yeah, weapons. The main thing is that.
But what is? Because I don't know. Trump says he gets his information from the TV and the media, which is why he's popular by people who also get their information probably from the TV and the media, not people who actually study it. But what is Mexico importing to the U.S. or export to the U.S. that's important?
They export
a lot of things.
Like what?
No, not only drugs. They export a lot of things, right?
Well, drugs is the most important, but what else? What
The
else
most
is second
important is
most?
that one.
What's second most important?
It's more than immigration. That's the most problem.
No, there's
Drugs
one
coming to
thing
Mexico.
that it stands out that they don't mention on the news unless you watch the, the like PBS or you watch the real news, or you read about it. What is the U.S. get from Mexico? Oil.
Well,
Yeah,
Palm
it's the second or third largest source of oil for the United States. Nowadays they don't need it so much, but yeah, Canada, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia are the top
what kind of
three.
oils? It's like
Oil, crude oil, for cars and stuff, for gas. So if for some reason we had trouble with the Mexico, the price of gas would go up because they increased the price of oil. If they didn't cooperate, we get the most from Saudi Arabia usually. That's usually number one. But you can look at the numbers, and it's available online. But Canada and Mexico are the two next ones. So being like a large, and it's a lot too. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, so that price of oil, and that would be a big deal.
No, they can get it from Iran.
No, the France gets it from, and those countries get it from Iran.
Maybe they can get it too now. They can. All the oil wells are not stopped for a long time. Now they can get more out of it.
I just put U.S. imports. Because now the U.S. I think they may even export it.
US imports by country.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of sort. They're not, they should all be the same. They're not going to have different
The
numbers.
second option is Wikipedia. Maybe they have.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of. He wants to build that fence, not a fence. He wants to build a wall. Maybe he could build a fence, but a wall, So, yeah. See, Canada is the orange. 709,698. Mexico is the other brownish orange, which was it peaked here from 567 down to
Because
394.
about everything.
And Saudi Arabia, just like I said, Saudi Arabia is down here. It peaked at 550,000, and now it's down to right next to Mexico, 416. So Canada and Mexico import the most, and then it's Nigeria, which down you could see Nigeria falls down here. It's peaking right now, so they're getting more from Nigeria and less from Mexico. And then after that is Venezuela, interestingly, because Venezuela has a lot of oil. That's been consistent as well. So Venezuela seems to be the fourth one, and Nigeria is the fifth, and then all these others are way down here. Iraq, Angola, Colombia, Algeria, and Brazil are all down here at 100-something barrels, which is one, very small, seventh of what the other countries are doing.
Maybe Mexico has less oil now. They already pump out everything.
No, oil's in there for a long time. So, but anyway, that's my point. I mean, we get oil from Mexico, and that's a big deal. So you don't want to piss them off too much.
There's a lot of jobs also going to Mexico now. All the companies starting company.
Yeah,
Even the Ford, that's what he's.
the number of Mexicans coming in and out of the country is about equal. Coming in and going, people going out and coming in. It's about Mexican
That's
people.
what he
It's
said.
about
No, he
equal.
will close down the Ford because Ford is opening a plant in Mexico now to build the parts.
Well,
So-
VW used to have big plants in Mexico too, Volkswagen. So a lot of people are going to Mexico, and because of problems with China, and problems with Bangladesh. So a lot of places are going to Mexico. It's usually Mexico and Thailand, and the options are usually China always does the best job, because they just that's what they're good at. They've been doing it thousands of years or whatever. But so China, and then Thailand, Philippines, Bangladesh, and Mexico. I mean, there's a lot of them, but there's like a half, 6 or 7 countries that manufacturers can go to for assembly line jobs, And Mexican's probably one of the top 5 consistently. But he doesn't like anybody. I don't think, what does he want to do? Move manufacturing jobs back to the U.S.?
That's not a solution though, right? In this world.
No, nobody would do that. Yeah. So you have to export it somewhere. It's a global market.
Now if you export more cars, it means to other countries, like they can export cars to China, India, like booming economies.
Yeah, I
but
think
they don't do that.
The problem is,
They don't compete in that field. You know, if you buy an American car, it breaks down in 10 years. It's 5-6 years, you get a lot of problems on American car. But Japanese cars last longer for 20 years, also on the street, right? They need to develop in that field.
yeah, unless it's an electric car, unless it's a Elon Musk car, or whatever it is.
That's why he's telling Japanese cars coming and bombarding US. That's not the reason. It's because they're running more efficiently and
they're better cars. They're better
That's why
made.
people buying it.
Yeah, right. But I don't think he knows a lot of this stuff, because in real estate, I don't think it applies, because you don't have these kinds of issues in real estate. Sometimes a person could be expert in one field and they could apply their skills in another field, but I'm not sure New York real estate expertise applies to global economics. You know what I mean? So I don't. That's a problem. He made these billions right here right over there in New York City. So I think New York City is unique in a lot of ways. The real estate market's always gone up. It's gone at a bit different rates, but it's always gone up. So investing in real estate's always been a sure deal. And the more you do it, the more money you make. So it's not that hard, I don't think.
Yesterday in the class, we watched the presidential debate of the Republican leaders yesterday evening.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and he said one funniest thing is the arbitrator asked him why you have 4 bankruptcies, like why you bankrupt in Atlantic City, the Trump Mahal, and everything. He said, I knew Atlantic City will collapse in 7 years. That's why I did it for the first casino is mine, which got bankruptcy declared.
Yeah, well, he got out beforehand.
Beforehand.
Yeah,
That's what he will apply in the U.S. economy too.
Well, no, he was actually good in that, because he's good in real estate. He's able to predict the market, so that's good. But that doesn't necessarily apply to other things. But what he said about
the same thing to the economy.
Yeah, but what he said about the 4 businesses going bankrupt was actually, a lot of people see that as a positive, because he had hundreds of companies and everybody declares a lot of people declare bankruptcy. So it's not that big of a deal. He's talking straight. He's very direct and very blunt. So those things are good. I mean, the people like that, and that's easy to understand. But when you get into deeper global economics, or you get into really economics, it's a little bit more difficult. But those things are actually, people like that, because it's actually true what he said. I mean, he got out early because he knew the market. And he declared bankruptcy because that's what everybody does.
But he didn't lose anything. He didn't gain. But people who invest in that one lost billions of dollars.
No, it's
the other companies, the lending companies who gave you the money to build the Taj Mahal lost the money.
Yeah, but those are bankers. That's what he also said.
And he said, I got profit from that, and I took out the money. I got a nice profit from that bankruptcy. From Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
He earned a lot of money.
Yeah, but
a lot of money didn't go to the lenders who gave money to build.
Yeah, but these are not poor people who are working class people. These are bankers.
The jobs people are
not necessarily. He's really kind of ahead on that one, because it's just the bankers in the banking industry, and they're all crooks. I mean, the banks are the biggest crooks in the world. The Bank of America, exports its, maintains its offices overseas, so they pay 0 in taxes. These are the people he's declaring bankruptcy again. So that to be said, these are not like your best people in the world. And he's right on target with that stuff, So it's kind of like those people that lie sometimes, they tell the truth sometimes. You really have to know all the issues to know. And the issues he talks about are the ones, like he says, that are on TV that your average person is familiar with, without a lot of education or research. So that's why one of the reasons he's popular, because things like that make him popular, because he's actually talking the truth. He's very blunt. You know what I mean? Apple did the same thing. They said, yes, we're taking advantage of the tax code, but every company does it. We're not evil. Fix the tax code and it'll be better. And he said the same thing. He said, I paid everybody and they do what I want them to do. You should fix that. It'll be better. And this is kind of true, but it's the other things like the wall and these crazy things that he thought Obama was a foreigner, and all this stuff is crazy. But this other stuff, this other business stuff, that's why he's a billionaire. He kind of does know it, and he speaks bluntly about it. You know, that's why people trust him in business, because he's not full of bullshit with that. You know, but you have to know kind of like the issues in order to know. I mean, you don't really have to know that much to know he's crazy. He's obviously building a huge wall is kind of nuts. You know what I mean? But these other issues, these smaller ones, they're kind of like, people are like, yeah, that's what we want to know. That's what we understand. You know what I mean? But like I said, his businesses, he's not doing anything anybody else did. He knows real estate very well, and he does know a certain things. A rich guy, he knows what rich guys know to be rich.
Why don't they elect the Obama's opponent? Him, he's a big businessman. Why don't they elect him? Why didn't they elect Obama?
Say that again.
Last year elections, Obama's opposite, what's his name? I forgot.
Well, he did run for president before, but he was doing. That's when we watched that Letterman video where he was talking his talk, and Letterman cut him down in front of everybody. I mean that, you know what I mean? No one's done that. Letterman's not around to cut him down anymore now. So, but that was a specific point where he caught him, and he because he was exporting ties to be, made in China right after he trashed people exporting products to China be made, shows that he doesn't know what he's talking about on this. So it made him look a little stupid.
Businessman cannot run a country.
What's that?
Businessman cannot run a country.
I don't know if that I don't know if that's 100% true, but it may be possible. But
it's tough.
Well, he's more. I think he was going bankrupt himself too before he did The Apprentice. I don't think his personal finances were going that well. He never declared bankruptcy, but I don't think he was doing that well. That's why he did the TV show.
That's not the most important thing. Bankruptcy is like different issues, because he said in his debate, he said it's a part of law. Like some
use the law.
I use the advantage of this law. It's
like everybody else.
Everybody has the right to do something like that.
Yeah. And in fairness, it wasn't his. He didn't have like 5 companies and 4 declared bankruptcy. He has hundreds of companies.
That's not the most important thing, but he said I think that's an important thing, because if you want to run a country, then you have to maintain a lot of things. But when you run a business, when you run a specific field, you are running a business in a specific field. Like that's what I'm saying. He's very good businessman.
Won't necessarily translate.
But when you run a country, then you have to maintain a lot of things.
Right. Well, you would have to look at the history.
Politician, everywhere in the world, politicians, they have a lot of bad record.
Right.
And bad
everywhere, any country.
Yeah,
but still they have some good quality politician. Because they know how to maintain people and how to motivate people.
Yeah, but business people are always running for political office. I don't know if there's any out there that were good or not. But well, I don't know but they run a lot. But the woman who was working at eBay was running against Jerry Brown in California. I forgot her name, that blonde. But and she was winning for a while, but then Brown pulled ahead in the end and with some clever strategy, and won the California thing. But she did well. She did pretty good, and some of them do pretty good, because some people think that business people should run the country. Well, that's a common belief.
Sometimes it could be, but most of the time it's failure.
People.
Most of the businessmen.
Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but
leaders supposed to be inspire people, do something good like by inspiring, not like dividing them, like. Not from dividing.
Well, that's true. He does divide.
Leaders can develop like
always
that.
Business.
Yeah, they do talk about bringing the party together.
Something and they talk together, they make it something.
Right.
But in the political field, you're supposed to
because
inspire people.
When you are doing a business, then you are the boss.
Right.
But when you are a politician, then you are a leader.
Well, that's a good point.
Boss and leader is not the
same thing.
Because when you are boss, then all the followers in front of you, they are bound to follow you.
But you can't always fire everybody.
They are bound to follow you, but when you are a leader, the followers in front of you, they are not bound to follow you. Yeah. They have the decision, they have the choice. They could change anytime their decision. So you never know.
Yeah,
because when you are a boss, then whatever you said, they are bound to follow your instruction. But when you are a leader, then they don't.
Right. Yeah, he can't sit in the White House
So
firing
it could
everybody.
be very good or very bad.
It would be a good TV show. He might put cameras. He might make it into a reality show, the whole White House thing.
You've been listening to the UnCommonCore Podcast with Thomas Howell. I'm Satoko Smith. Thank you for listening.